Welcome to Indivisible Las Cruces. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon, so we appreciate everybody coming. My name is Pam Hett, and you probably met a group of our steering committee members, so please always thank them. They're doing an amazing job, and we really appreciate it. And all the support team has been fantastic. So, who is new to Indivisible? This being their first meeting. Welcome. Probably, those of you who've been here for a while probably could do my little spiel, but you know, back in 2017, Indivisible was started by two congressional staffers, Leah and Ezra, and the purpose was to try to combat Trump 1.0. And in Las Cruces, they set up an Indivisible, and it was started to get some steam, and it was very productive. And then when President Biden came in, things sort of settled down, and then all of a sudden we saw what happened on November, and then January 20th, and all that broke loose and everything like that. And then when Trump came in for 2.0, there was a small group of us that said, oh my gosh, we can't just sit and put our head in the sand, we have to do something. So we spoke to the prior group, and they gave us their blessing to start with Indivisible again, and it has just grown, and it's all because of you. So we really, really appreciate all your efforts. And the idea is three things. Number one is defeat the authoritarianism. Second is anything we can do to muck up the works for Project 2025. And three is to support progressive candidates. And so just a reminder, we've got the election coming up, both the library and the city council. So we want to make sure you stay involved with that. We've got activities we're going to be doing so we can remind you about that. So that's basically what we have. Has Sam joined yet? No, okay. We have Sam Bregman, the New Mexico governor candidate. He's going to be via Zoom, but he hasn't joined yet. So, Sherry, are you ready to just give a quick blurb about October 11th, the volunteers meeting?
Hi, I'm channeling my Mary Brennan. So for those of you who know and love Mary, I'm channeling her. She couldn't be here today, and she sent us her regrets. So on the table, I know you can't read this, but I'm holding up this little piece of paper. They're back on the table. We're looking for volunteers. Mary's committee, which is the PSST, looking for volunteers to show up on Saturday, October 11th, at the Pocahontas Coffee Roasters, and they want people to knock on doors and help school board candidates Patrick Nolan, Pamela Court, and Bob Wolford get reelected. And Mary asked me to emphasize that we now have opposition. These folks that are listed on this little handout, there is some opposition from the opposing party now, and they are feeding a lot of money into those people's campaigns. So if you can show up, you don't have to let anyone know, just show up, and if you're interested, grab one of these little handouts on your way out the door. It has all the information on it that you need. We've also posted it on all of our social media outlets. So it's been sent by email, I believe. It's out on Facebook. It's also on Blue Sky and Instagram. Okay, so I have another piece of business if everyone could indulge me for 1 minute. How many people are planning on attending the rally on the 18th? Show of hands. Fabulous. We're going to be selling t-shirts with our logo on it. Looks like that. Looks like this. Okay? All right, I also have a button. We sold these at the last rally. Obviously, the one on the 18th will probably be well attended. If we sell t-shirts with this on for $20, how many people would buy one? Show of hands. Okay, wow, that's like 50 people, maybe. All right, then my next question is, this is an aesthetics question. You can see the logo. Would you prefer white or a colored t-shirt?
White.
Okay, I'm gonna show of hands. How many would prefer white?
Remember, Chili's Day.
All right, and how many would prefer a colored t-shirt? Ooh, that's a tough one. Half and half. Okay, excellent question. I heard that all the way from back there. What color? So we would probably pick a color like either the purple or one of the blues, either the lighter blue or the darker blue, but it would be like in the purple blue family. So let's do it again. How many would prefer white?
Are you talking straight white?
Straight white, not this cream color, a straight white t-shirt with the logo on it. How many would prefer white? All right, how many would prefer colored? All right, I think the colors have it. So it'll either be like some shade of blue or purple. Thank you for indulging me. Wasn't that fun?
How much are the t-shirts?
What?
How much are the t-shirts?
I said they're $20. We'll be selling them for $20. And don't forget, please come out and volunteer to help our candidates. Thank you.
Okay, I just got the high sign and Mr. Bregman is there. Can you see us and hear us?
No hearing.
Okay, they're working on it.
Yeah.
My only concern is that I'm getting an echo back at my speed. I'm hearing it repeated like that from the right to say. Can you all hear me now? Yes? Yes. All right. Thank you for the thumbs up. And thank you all can hear me and see me. I can't hear you right now, but that's okay. I just want you to know, and I guess, is it that you guys just want me to continue? Yes, thumbs up?
Yes.
Okay. Folks, it is a pleasure to join you. You know, it's obviously always a little bit awkward when it comes to the Zoom and everything else. I wish I was there in person to see all of you all, visit with you on a personal level. But I know just because my calendar couldn't afford that right now, we can certainly make that happen in the very near future. There'll be multiple times I'll be down there. And it's an extremely important part of the state, and I understand that, and I know that you all have many, many concerns about our current state of things. And I'm running for governor because I love this state just like you all do, and I know that we have so many challenges, and we can be so much better in so many different areas. You know, I think you all will agree with me that New Mexico has never lived up to the potential that we know it has. And we have accepted mediocrity in certain areas for far too long. And we need to have a mindset, I believe, of excellence. I will tell you that it is unacceptable when we are first in crime and 50th in education. That needs to be absolutely 100% reversed. And I know we can do that with the right leadership. As many of you know, I've been the district attorney up here now. I've spent my entire adult life in New Mexico, and I've raised a wonderful family and had an amazing career. And I want everyone in New Mexico to have the same kind of opportunities that I've been blessed with. And I know that we can really move the needle and go in that direction if we really have strong leadership. I will tell you that I'm focusing this campaign on on 4 main issues, and I hope to focus as your next governor on these 4 main issues. They're pretty all-encompassing, but nonetheless, I want to tell you what they are. It's, of course, crime. It's education. It's healthcare. We have such a fragile healthcare system. And my mother lives in Albuquerque, and she's 87 years old, and she has to wait 4 months for a doctor's appointment. That is absolutely unacceptable. We can do so much better. Now, we have a shortage of doctors, and I have a lot of ideas on how to bring more doctors into New Mexico. We have a shortage of 4,000 nurses in New Mexico, and we have to do a lot more when it comes to really building out our healthcare system. And then economic development, of course, is the 4th item. So it's crime, education, healthcare, and economic opportunity to make sure that we have the kind of jobs for people to be able to support their families, good paying jobs. I think you all know with Trump and the chaos coming out of Washington, that we are truly going to have a governor who's going to stand up and push back and fight back and make sure that the rule of law and due process and things of that nature, but also stand up on like this big beautiful bill with all these cuts to Medicaid, all these cuts to essential things that help people is unacceptable, and the governor needs to have a very strong voice in standing up. But I'll also tell you, we can't just be against Trump, although I am in so many different fronts. We also have to stand for something, and we have to lead as New Mexicans. Thank you. I think people are applauding. I can't hear a single thing, but I think I see some folks applauding. Regardless, I'm going to take it as an applause. But listen, we have to stand for something ourselves. And as much chaos, and as much unfortunate things and bad things are coming out of Washington, we as New Mexicans have to stand up for New Mexico. And I will tell you, well, we are individually salary-wise in New Mexico. Our income is pretty low, but as a state, we have $64 billion in permanent funds. So while money doesn't solve everything, and I don't think anybody thinks it doesn't solve everything. It does solve some things. But we should never allow the idea that we don't have enough money, and therefore we'll just let people slip through the cracks here in New Mexico. No way. No way. I am going to be a governor who stands up and makes sure that every New Mexican has a fighting voice in Santa Fe and all across the state. I don't care what part of the state they live in. We are going to defend and support our New Mexicans from Washington if need be, but also right here in New Mexico, we have to stand up for everybody. And one of the things I've done is I've laid out 189 pages of policy, covering 13 different policy issues. Everything from crime, education, housing, homelessness, healthcare, a whole gamut. I urge you, please, go on the website of Breaking Forward New Mexico. We are a very substantive campaign. I want you all to see what I'm standing up for, where I want to emphasize certain things, and not because I have all the answers, not because I think that I know it all. Far from it. I want your input. I want you to let me know whether you think it's a good idea or whether or not you think it's a crazy idea. Let me know. Go on that website, because this campaign and this future of New Mexico, as I said earlier, we can't just be against Trump, although we are in many areas. We have to stand for something. I've laid a blueprint out for the future of New Mexico. I want the input from all of you. Take the time. If you're interested in a particular issue, take a look. If you're interested and you got a lot of time, feel free to read all of it. I would really appreciate the input and the feedback. And at the end of the day, I also want you to know, I I want to debate my opponents. This is democracy. Look at all of you. You are part of what democracy is all about. Hearing ideas, talking about the future, talking about what direction the state should go in. And you have a right, and you should be given the opportunity to hear the candidates debate about their public vision for the future of New Mexico. I want to do that. Thank you. I want you all to know. I asked, after we laid out these policies, I'll debate my policies with anybody. I want to debate them with the governor, with Deb Hall. I want the governor here. I want to debate these because it's very important that you hear and get an opportunity to know what our vision is for the future of New Mexico. Let me just say this kind of in conclusion. I don't want you to think for 1 minute that when I mentioned the problems with first in crime and 50th in education and health care with the fragile healthcare system and so much necessary on the economic opportunity. I don't want you to think for 1 minute that I'm down on New Mexico. To the contrary, I want you to know and understand that I truly believe in the potential of the state. I know that we have some of the hardest working people, some of the smartest working people here in New Mexico. I know we can get things done. In the district attorney's office, we've had great success because I've surrounded myself with people who are really smart and really hardworking. And I give them the idea of this is where we want to see what the kind of results, and I let them go do their job. And if they need help, I help them with whatever they need help with. I give direction, and I want to make sure we do the same thing with state government. We have to have a mindset of excellence. When I'm governor, the days of mediocrity and accepting the idea that a kid is not reading at grade level or a kid is not functioning at the math level they should be in 3rd grade, those days are going to come to an end. So let me just say in conclusion, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm sorry I can't hear. I do have time for a question or two, but I don't know if we can get the technology to work. So now I hear it, but there's an echo.
What is it? Can we have talk about immigration? Thank you. Hello?
Thank you for joining us here in Las Cruces. As you know, 40 miles from the border, we have a very strong immigration arm here in Indivisible, Las Cruces, but I didn't hear you mention that as one issue that is really impacting our state as well as the whole country. So if you could speak to that, immigration, deportation, incarceration, and all that goes along with it.
Thank you for the opportunity. I believe I heard some questions on immigration, and I'm happy to address that. Listen, I deal with this issue on a daily basis. It's in a couple of capacities. One is not only I'm the district attorney in the state's largest city, where I-40 and I-25 cross each other and intersect, but I'm also the chairman of the Organized Crime Commission. So I have been battling human trafficking, for example, for the last 2 years. I understand the border is so important. I've been down there many times working on border issues. While we have to strengthen our borders and continue to make sure that we strengthen them against those people who will prey on others and human traffic them, at the same time, I will tell you that as a district attorney, I'm extremely concerned, and it is so unproductive for what Trump is doing when it comes to scaring the entire immigrant community across this country, putting every single one of them in fear And therefore, I can tell you on a daily basis, when it comes to me, who prosecute violent crime every day, people who are willing to hurt and kill other people. When I have witnesses and victims of rape who are not willing to come forward because they're scared they'll be deported, how in the world does that help in the fight against crime? So I can tell you, while I'm on board for a strong border, we can do all kinds of things to make sure we have a more effective border. I am completely and 100% opposed to this fear and this mass deportation, which is rounding up folks and saying, well, I'll also tell you at the state level, we've heard a lot about that. I have a policy put in place that's on the website. Please do know that I am very adamant about the idea that we do not do things. We're not going to have local or state agencies when I'm governor assisting in immigration enforcement. That is not productive, and that is not consistent, I don't think, with the values of New Mexico. So I hope I answered your question. Let's take one more. I'm a little bit pressed for time, but one more question.
Yeah, one more, that's fine.
Hey, how's it going today, Sam? Quick question for you. So, as someone whose background is in education, I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on handling the New Mexico education system, specifically because we all know that more money needs to get spent. The state lost Yazzie Martinez back in 2016, 2017. We've done, I'm going to say it's close to $4 billion in education funding increases in the state of New Mexico. But at this point, we're seeing a stagnation. There's a difficulty in equating dollar amount to fixing these long-running deficiencies in the New Mexico public school system. And that's not to say the problem is a tap problem. Money is open. Ask anybody working in education right now, they are paying more money into schools than ever before. But what are your thoughts on overcoming this? Because I know this is something that has plagued Grisham's office now for her entire governorship.
Listen, thank you for the question. It's extremely important. It's why I'm looking at and we visit with folks from all across the state, because, when we talk about crime and education, obviously interlinked, right? Well, first and crime and 15th education, there is a linkage there. Our young people deserve better from all of us when it comes to education. I believe, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel on this. We can look no further. We don't have to look further than the Mississippi used to battle with us on who's going to be the lowest ranked state when it came to education. I recently visited, listened to the person who ran what they called out the Mississippi Miracle. It took a long time. It wasn't overnight. But the Mississippi Miracle, they went from 50th to 13th in their education ratings because of a lot of things they put in place. I will tell you a couple things. We absolutely do need to reform our education system in several ways. But I will say, too, it is really hard to get any kind of consistency when you have 6 public education department secretaries in 6 years. There's 6 different secretaries of education in 6 years. I find that troubling. I think we need to put leadership in there that's consistent. Now, with that said, there's a lot of things, and again, I encourage everybody, because I'll miss saying some things here right now, I encourage everybody to go to the website, because we really laid out a detailed plan when it comes to education. But, listen, we've had a lot of success up in Albuquerque, for example. I've seen it with public charters. Public charters have some of them been very, very innovative, and we can learn a lot of things from them. We need to hold everybody accountable. First and foremost in education, every decision needs to be made on what is best for the students. What's best for the student? Not what's best necessarily for administrators, for teachers, even for parents. What's best for the students? That's where you start. And we do need to be very transparent about what schools are doing well and what schools are not doing well, and getting kids to a reading level of 3rd grade and a math level at 3rd grade. And we need to make sure that we're identifying those students who are having trouble early on. In other words, at first and second grade, it's clear that they're not at grade level where they need to be, and we need to make sure we're giving them and providing them everything we can, needing intensive tutoring, for example. You know, master teachers need to come into troubled school districts and really go into some good training about the science degree. We have to focus more on what goes on in the classroom. And we're not, and all the resources need to make sure we get them to the classroom. And I think we, of course, have to support all of our teachers. But we need to reward, obviously, and recognize the really great teachers as well. There's so much we can do in education better. I am certainly someone who's for public school choice, not vouchers, nothing like that. But public school choice, I think competition is good out there. I think when schools compete for students, there's nothing wrong with that. I think competition is good in this country. It's built this country in many ways. I appreciate competition. I think absolutely that if we focus on what's best for the kid, we hold people accountable, we hold school districts accountable, we make sure that we go in and help failing schools and failing classrooms the second we know about them, and to make sure that we focus on training our teachers and K, for example, one of the policy considerations I put out is we need to have 10 paid training days for teachers to really get the training they need to make sure they're getting what they need. When it comes to Yazzie Martinez and our tribal communities and our underserved communities and our impoverished communities, yes, we need to focus in and make sure we're providing the education, and not just an acceptable education, but we should be providing world-class education. That's where New Mexico needs to go. I hope I've answered your question, and the last thing I'll say is because I'm going to roll right now. I want you all to know that many of you know my son's the third baseman for the Boston Red Sox. And trying to figure out I'm going to Monday to watch them. It might be against the Yankees, so I'm fired up for sure. You all, thank you for your time. I hope you will take the time to go on our website. I hope you will take the time to encourage my opponent, Deb Holland, to debate me. I hope you'll take the time, as I know you already do, to stay engaged like you do. We can be an amazing state. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I know. Cool. Okay, just so you know, on the 12th, October 12th, our next meeting, Stephanie Garcia Richard will be here in person, and Miyaka Mishima will be here in person, Harold Pope will be here in person, and Caroline Zamora will be talking about ranked choice voting. So you'll be able to hear from a couple more candidates. Teresa.
I don't know, after you talked about baseball and remote up, I'm not sure. Okay, so I'm going to start our next movie. It's going to be here at First Christian Church on October 11th. So in the morning, you can go door knocking for our school board members. And then in the afternoon, you can come and watch God and Country here in this room. It's a 2024 American documentary. The film discusses the emergence of Christian nationalism, which my dear Lisa took open my eyes to, thank you, and its close relationship with far-right politics in the United States, exploring its perceived threat to democracy and the politicization of Christianity, the theater. And we're going to have a trailer in there, I believe.
America and Christianity are like baseball and apple pie, and we celebrate them together. I was 16, 17 years old when I became a Christian and an evangelical minister.
I've been a Christian my whole life. I'm a Christian nationalist
Christian. No, it isn't.
We should be blazing forth as a countercultural example. Instead, we're leading the charge of malice and division.
Christian nationalism uses Christianity as a means to an end in some form of authoritarianism.
Being a Christian is about the values of inclusion. Christian nationalism is certainly not based on the values of the gospel.
God wants America to be safe. They're told over and over and over again that you're in danger.
You need to fight if you don't want to lose your country.
We are in a civil war between good and evil.
This is not even about Christian values, this is about Christian power.
What happens to people who don't lead the serve?
We are on the precipice.
We're taking our nation back.
The thing that gives me open at night is that we lose democracy. Does that seem possible? Yes.
Christianity at its best is committed to love and truth and justice. If we do this right, what a country we will be.
So join us here on October 11th at 2 p.m. The suggested donation is $10. And also, I want to plug in for MSU Theater. They are opening their play Sanctuary City, which is post 9/11 Newark, New Jersey. Two teenagers were brought to the U.S. as children become one another's sanctuaries from harsh circumstances. And as Jackie said, the University Theater never disappoints. So you can go online. It's preview night is next Thursday, and it runs for 2 or 3 weekends. And lastly, for those of you that have been interested in going to be observers at the immigration court on Thursdays, or visiting Otero Detention Center on Tuesdays, there is going to be a training this Tuesday evening from 6 to 7:30 at Holy Cross Retreat. It's part of the acompañantes confianzos de esperanza fronterizos, de esperanza, compassion, accompaniment, and honor the dignity of each person. I know there's a couple of people in this room that go on Tuesday or Thursday, so see me after the meeting here and I'll give you more information. I know some of us went through that training already, but buy a t-shirt, come to the meetings, get good trainings. Your time is full. Thank you.
Okay, we know that the special session is coming up with the legislature October 1st, and one of the issues that we really, really want to get worked on and resolved is the New Mexico Healthcare Compact. And I know Patience Primero has taken a very strong stance on that, so we're going to give Joanne Turnbull a few minutes to just reiterate how important it is to help contact your representatives.
How many people do not know what compact is? I can explain in 2 seconds. How's that? It's an agreement between states. Like you can drive in another state because you have a driver's license in the next state, right? So a medical licensure compact means that if they can use telehealth. Right now, if you have a child who has cancer, there's one family that goes to Texas from Santa Fe because they cannot access telehealth in their community or have a physician from another state. And one of the people, I have to go to the Mayo Clinic on Sunday for surgery, but there's no surgeon. That's nothing compared to the young woman whose fiance was eligible for a transplant, and one more medical hurdle, and there was no physician to do it, but it's so long he no longer qualified and he died. Or the man whose blood pressure was so high that the nurse practitioner, who was his primary care provider, said, "This is beyond my scope of practice, you need to see an ophthalmologist." By the time that happened, it was gone. And he said, "I'm never going to get to see my grandchildren again." So medical licensure compacts are no-brainers. They don't cost anybody anything. There are 43 states belong to these compacts. They would increase our number of physicians by 15 to 20% immediately. Our legislature is not listening to us. They are just dragging their heels, and so I decided after sharing the sheet and ask you all to please make phone calls, make phone calls, email these people. I said, okay, I'm going to try this myself, and I emailed Mimi Stewart, who's the president of the Senate. She wrote back and said, well, we're going to pass it in January because we need to study it more. They have been studying this since 2019. They do not need to study it more. If they need to study it more, they need to go and talk to the guy who lost the president. That's what they need to study. Right? And they know this guy in the Judiciary Committee in 2025 because they fussed around and tried to change the rules, and they were upset that they couldn't sue the compacts. It's ridiculous. So, if you look at the sheet that's handed out, there's one mistake. I apologize, I'm a bad typist, but I think it's Representative Martinez who is the House of Representatives speaker, and his email address says they're on this. It's not. It's Martinez. So that's one mistake. But please, just get in touch with as many of these people. They owe it to you. We deserve good health care. There's no reason not to pass this compact. Yeah.
So, this doesn't cost anything, and they've been studying this since 2019. What is their opposition? What is their case? Why they don't want to do it?
Okay, I've been told three different things.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sorry. The question is, if this doesn't cost me, they can list their opposition. Do I get that?
Yeah. So, those are clear.
I don't know the truth. I mean, I think it's because of lawsuits, primarily that they can't sue the compact. But what they're saying to me is, oh, why this is so important? Trump's big beautiful bill. There is going to be billions of dollars available for rural health care, and states that belong to the compact get extra points. We don't belong, we're not getting those points. It's stupid. So, okay, what they say, one senator said, oh, all governor, she's the only one that controls the agenda. Another one said, well, maybe we'll have a special session in the spring. These are Democrats. This state is going to go red if the Democrats don't wake up. And because the Republicans are grabbing this guy and saying, oh, they're not listening to you, we'll do it. So, obviously, sorry. And then the final thing, what Senator Stewart said was we need to study it more. They've been studying it forever. It's just BS. And there's no other word for it. Any other questions? Okay. Please. Oh, there is a sign-up sheet on the back from Patients for American What Alerts. We're sending out alerts on this stuff all the time. We can't help it anymore. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, there we speaker for today is Allison Clare, Nina Wallace, and we've had a couple conversations over the last couple months, and I think it's really important that with all the stuff going on, to start to talk about youth organizing power and the fact that the young Democrats of New Mexico and Doña Ana County are starting to get, I don't want to say resurrected, but back with a little bit more oomph and stuff like that. So that is what Allison Clare is going to talk about.
Well, hello. How's everybody doing? Doing good? Okay. It's a long one, so buckle in. As Pam said, my name is Allison Clare Wallace. I'm the president of the Young Democrats of Doña Ana County, and I am a local organizer, organizing with young people, and mainly organizing for my personal issue area, which is protecting trans rights. So here goes that. On May 4th, 1970, over 300 student protesters gathered at Kent State University in Ohio to protest the expansion of the Vietnam War into Cambodia. On that day, 19-year-old Allison Krauss, 20-year-old Jeffrey Miller, 20-year-old Sandra Lee Schuer, and 19-year-old William Schroeder were shot and killed by the Ohio National Guard. 9 more were injured. The Kent State Massacre, as it came to be known, was not the first time a militarized force that descended upon protesters in America. A lot of alliteration. But it would go down as the deadliest. The Kent State protests were part of a larger student strike in protest of the Vietnam War, and was just one part of a years-long fight against the atrocities committed and supported by the United States in Vietnam and Cambodia. Leading that fight were young, passionate, motivated student organizers. It was like most progressive causes throughout history. Led by the youth and ignored or downplayed by the older folks, even within those young people's own party. If protesting against war, against the murder of unarmed civilians at home and abroad sounds familiar, then you may see where I'm going. In 2023 and 2024, students began massive protest campaigns against the Palestinian genocide in Gaza. Those students built encampments, pressured their schools to divest from Israeli apartheid, and screamed at the top of their lungs, "Free Palestine!" Those same students were met with arrests, tear gas, and riot police. Those same students who read names of dead Palestinian children were laughed at and mocked by delegates outside of the Democratic National Convention in 2024. Those same students were told by the vice president of this country while she was seeking the office of president to be quiet unless you want Donald Trump to win. I know that at least a few of you in this room lived through protesting the Vietnam War. Some of you may be conservative, but I don't really see anybody that looks that. Yet, it is many in your generation who are telling us that what's happening in Gaza is just another war. When you see people my age organize for what we believe in, ask yourself, why is it that so many of you have a first reaction of thinking that we don't understand what we're talking about, or that we're just idealists who don't know how to enact real change? Young people are always leading society into the future. How well a society will do is based entirely on the stock it puts in its next generation. That statement is equally as true for political parties. I don't stand here before you as somebody who hates the Democratic Party, or someone who wants to watch it burn. I stand here as someone who wants a future for myself, my friends, and one day, my own children. I stand here as president of the Young Democrats of Doña Ana County, as a member of the State Central Committee, and a member of the Doña Ana Democrats Executive Board. I want a Democratic Party that wins. And I promise that that does not happen without the young organizers that you see in this room. Now, a few of them are probably unhappy that I just branded them Democrats, but that really just goes to show what my point is. 2024 was a crushing defeat, and many in leadership of the party have been coming up with all of the reasons and ways it was not their fault. But it was. Democrats lost the 2024 election because democracy is not a message when no one has faith in that democracy. Democrats failed to sell a bright future, or any future, to the American people, and failed to account for young voters turning out en masse to vote against them. This is not because my generation is more Republican. Quite the contrary. It is because the Democratic Party has laughed in our faces at everything we believe for as long as we can remember. Just a few months ago, I was consistently the youngest person at Indivisible. Last year, I was consistently the youngest person at every political group or event that I went to. This is not because my generation isn't politically active. 2024 saw more young people getting out and fighting for their political beliefs than we've seen in much of the last decade. So why did I never see them? Because I was at Democratic Party-sponsored events, where groups of older Democrats who kept asking me the same question. Where are all the other young people? Last year, I had to answer around this question, because I wasn't going to these groups to tell them my ideology. I was going to do my job, organize, recruit people to go out and join them. This year, though, I can answer that question clearly and in the exact words that I think it should be said. And tell you how we can change that answer to a more desirable one. So, why is my generation cohort not showing up to participate with the Democratic Party? You won't like the answer. It's because young people don't like Democrats. That is not to say that we don't like progressive policies. In fact, further left political groups and third parties are seeing more membership than ever. Groups like the Democratic Socialists of America, or DSA, for example, are seeing unmatched levels of political success, especially with the nomination of Democratic Socialist Zoran Mamdani in the New York City mayoral primary. Mamdani embarrassed his closest competitor, neoliberal Andrew Cuomo, by over a 12-point margin. That's 12% for the election years. In a staunch rejection of the party's establishment choice. Mamdani showed that the era of Americans being afraid of the scary S word, socialism, may be coming to an end. So what does that mean for the future of the Democratic Party and our so-called Big Tent? That answer relies on whether you agree that we should be a big tent in the first place. And even then, how big of a tent? Slovenian political theorist and philosopher Slavoj Žižek makes the argument that liberalism and fascism are two sides of the same coin. Žižek suggests that the big tent tolerance that liberalism encourages will inevitably lead us to tolerate further and further right speech until our opposition party are full-blown fascists. After seeing what has happened to the Republican Party in the last decade, I cannot come up with a convincing argument against this theory. At all. We have continued to let Republicans set the narrative and shift further and further into right-wing Christo-fascists. Lots of young organizers admire Slavoj Žižek. The average age of the people at his lectures is proof of that. Young people have seen the rise of neoliberalism in the Democratic Party. Neoliberalism is an important word. For someone my age, 21, it's the only ideology we've known our party leadership to ever hold. With MAGA fascism currently building its foothold in the American government, voters of all ages are seeing the Democratic Party the same way many of my friends have seen it for some time. My friends who refuse to participate. As a weak and toothless organization that protects only the status quo. What do we do about it? In a few moments, I will go over a few rules that we can put in place to better attract young people to both Indivisible and the wider democratic ecosystem. But first, I need to tell you what you can do right. Number one is welcoming young people, giving us opportunities just like this one, stand before you and speak our minds, what we believe, what we have experienced. And then actually listening and absorbing what we said. That's step one. In New Mexico, we do have Democrats fighting for great policies. For example, Representative Sarah Silva and Senator Jeff Steinborn are fighting in the legislature for better government transparency, and especially that of lobbyists. Democrats delivered universal child care for all New Mexicans regardless of income, as well as free and reduced college tuition. These are great policies that are a core part of creating better outcomes in our state and society as a whole. Many of you are also great progressives, standing up for trans beloveds, immigrants, reproductive rights, and generally using your voice for the voiceless. Those are the building blocks that we can use for a stronger, more democratic life. Despite how great those policies are, though, good policy alone, as we all know very well, is not enough to attract people to be active in the Democratic Party. Sure, it may encourage them to vote, but in a two-party system, voting brings progress rarely and very, very slowly. To activate these young organizers who are fighting for human rights both at home and abroad, we must listen to them. We must really take it to heart. So I'm going to go over 3 rules that we can put in place to attract more young people. Rule number 1, don't patronize us. Something I experience far too often as a young woman in politics is older folks, especially men, telling me how I don't really know or that I'm right, but being treated this way pushes politically active young people away from the party and towards each other, which has its benefits, yes, but when they are building political power after being patronized and belittled, they aren't going to share that power with you. Recently, lots of amazing young organizers came together on a scale that I have never seen in this community to fight against Project Jupiter. No matter your opinions on the project, it was an impressive display of organizing prowess and reach. When we came before this group, some felt belittled after we were told how we were organizing wrong or that the reasons we told you why our generational cohort is not engaged were wrong. Now, I will not deny that part of that is the civic education problem in this country. But that's a systemic one that affects your generation just as much as it affects ours. If you want young people to show up, you have to respect us. You have to refrain from undermining us when the opportunity arises, and you have to actually think about and try to implement our suggested solutions. I love debating as much as the next person. I was the captain of the debate team in high school. But it is the absolute worst way to change people's minds. It pushes people apart. Framing as one side versus the other, rather than a conversation that can broaden both sides' political views. So let's Rule number 2, stop playing party checkers. Many Democrats and Republicans look at politics this way, red versus blue. This thinking is encouraged by the duopoly we live under. You're either on the red team or the blue team. Fall in line. Vote blue no matter who. This thinking is not sustainable. In 2016, Bernie Sanders lost the Democratic primaries to Hillary Clinton. Many believe that the nomination was stolen from him, taken away from him, simply because Bernie, like Mamdani, is a self-identifying democratic socialist. I mentioned Tehran because many Democrats, even those in his own home state of New York, have refused to endorse him, saying he is too left-wing, or that voters don't care or don't like his policies, despite his incredible, resounding electoral success. Most notably, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries has continued to delay and dance around endorsing Mamdani for mayor, even when New York Governor Kathy Hochul and former Vice President Kamala Harris have already endorsed him, if only as a Democrat in the race. Vote blue no matter who, unless you're further left than the average Republican voter, seems to be, in which case we should vote for somebody else, seems to be a more accurate representation of what Leader Jeffries is doing. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are, in my personal opinion, a big part of the reason that Democrats are seen as so weak in terms. They've shown us that they are not the men for the political moment, time and time again, and yet they refuse to step aside. Just the other day, Schumer was on CNN saying how Democrats having the lowest approval ratings that they have ever had is fine because in a one-on-one, head-to-head, people still prefer the Democrat to the Republican. Do we want to be the, oh, not as bad party? I don't think we should be. My dad and I used to joke that I'm only a member of this party because the only thing I hate more than a Democrat is a Republican. That was, of course, not the only reason. But it does speak to the direction that this party has been going for some time. At the last Indivisible meeting, my friend John Delgado stood up and said something during community announcements that I found to be very important and quite pertinent. If we are to be anti-corruption, we can't just call it out when the other side is doing it. We have to call it out on our side too. Democrats nationwide can learn a lot from a statement like that. Many attribute the Democrats' electoral failures to us wanting to fall in love with a candidate. And I think that that is only partially true. Those further left, which I would be referring to as those on the left, have far more fracturing and infighting than those on the right. At the same time, Democrats across the country are considering and consistently running candidates that, to be frank, suck. That is not to say that running a moderate Dem in a very conservative district is a bad thing. It's usually the right thing in order to win that district. But we fail to try and build off of it. Last year, Congressman Diego Vasquez was reelected by a margin of 4 points. The biggest a Democrat has won CD2 by in, I think, ever, but quite some time at the very least. And yet, when you hear those in the state party talk, there is no plans to build upon this to improve our electoral victories in the future or make the district more progressive. We can't be afraid of pushing our own candidates and electeds to be more progressive. We can't let people like Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin use our party's money to win our Senate seats just to vote with Republicans when it actually matters. Politics is not a team sport. It's people. Instead of looking at it as red versus blue, we should look at it as people helping others. if our members in Congress are not pushing for policies that make a positive impact on our lives and rolling back fascist, anti-human policies like border militarization or mass detention and deportation of migrants, then we need to get them out or get them in line. When you see young organizers pushing on gay or other Democratic members, it's not because we hate Democrats. It's because we're looking at politics as people helping other people. And so we push for what we believe. Rule number 3. This is the last one. Progress is paramount. The Trump administration has made it a point to roll back policies like DEI and has declared war on trans people. When a fascist government takes hold, they rule through fear of their neighbor. Between Trump's executive order naming Antifa a domestic terrorist organization, despite the fact that no such organization exists, and the FBI's new directive against transgender ideology-inspired violent extremism, which names me as a terrorist simply for being trans, I am now actually really eligible for the FBI's most wanted list. For doing what? Nothing. Existing, wanting to live, wanting to be happy. As a trans person, I am terrified. I fear that someone may see me and believe that I am somehow responsible for the killing of their favorite fascist influencer and take that rage out on me. I fear that my trans siblings will be killed in the streets, or even worse, sent to prison as their assigned sex. Being a trans woman, I often fear prison worse than death. And that is due to the practice of decoding. Decoding is a practice in the private and federal prison system, placing trans women in men's prisons and making them cellmates with the most violent prisoners to, quote, calm them down. How does this calm them down? Because they are sentencing that woman to be brutalized and raped every single day until they have to drag her lifeless body out of that cell. This is the horrific reality that I live with every single day. And it's amplified by calls from those in my own party, like Seth Moulton, to abandon trans rights as an issue. Whenever the Democrats lose an election, we notoriously always learn the wrong lessons. Moving right is never the answer. Especially when it becomes further and further becoming the fascist right party. Hey, we will be constantly surveilling you, but yay, private rates for everybody is not actually progressive. Being socially progressive is important, yes. But it's also not enough on its own. We must be economically progressive as well. I know that American voters hear my taxes will go up and recoil into their shells. But we can still implement progressive tax policy without impacting everyday Americans. Now, I'm not here to give a long-winded policy explanation. I'm happy to do that later. But there's one very important lesson from this that we can learn. Corporations are not and will never be our friends or our allies. When federal money is taken away, the answer is not to turn to the corporations and sell away our land and our natural resources for relatively small investments back into our community. The answer is to turn to the federal government and fight back. We need to turn to our state government and fight back. We need to turn to the oil and gas companies that are destroying our water and our lands, creating earthquakes in Las Cruces, and we need to fight back. If we don't have a vision for a bright future, why should I vote for Democrats? Many of those in the most powerful positions continue to enrich themselves more and more at the expense of my future. And they will be long dead by the time I have to live with the consequences. corporations and the ultra-rich, the 1%, will never, ever be on our side. They will always be out for enriching themselves, improving their margins, and their bottom lines. We must continue to move forward. We must continue to be a real progressive party. Not this moderate big tent where we are like, yeah, all these marginalized groups will vote for us because we are not actively attacking their rights. We're not doing anything to protect them, but we're not actively attacking them. That doesn't work. So let's keep moving. The corporations will always place profits for people, workers, and natural resources. We cannot let our politicians be bought and sold by corporations. We elected them to represent us. Young people are disengaged with the Democratic Party because in 2024, our cries for the plight of the Palestinian people were mocked and ignored. Because for years, the Democratic establishment has told all of you that the left is the problem. The left is not the future of the party, has become the rallying cry for AIPAC-funded Democrats who seem to have more of a stake in the state of Israel than their own constituents. Guess what? People in my generation are moving left like never before. Why do you not see them? See us at Democratic Party events? It's because we are organizing our own mutual aid fairs and community events, free from corporate sponsors and electoral politics. Places where we don't have to be part of the in crowd to get anywhere. So, I say to people like Hakeem Jeffries, Richie Torres, and Seth Moulton, the left that you fear so much is where the young people are. When you are gone and forgotten, we will be the only ones left. Why are these prominent Democrats doing all they can to push young people away? Politics has to keep moving forward. The party will keep moving in one direction, either left or right. If we continue to move right, the young people will drift further and further left. And the Democrats will lose more and more. As the youths, we are the future. So if you want to have a future of this party, let's keep moving in the left direction.
I was glad to hear you advocate for party unity. What I gathered is if the party is on the youth side, first I gotta say one thing. I wish I was right about anything for being old. Age does not equal truth. So young people aren't always right, and old people aren't always wrong. It just works that way. There, I'll say my piece. Yeah, this says I'm not right. This just says I'm old. Okay. You're for party unity as long as the candidate is to the left of you. Not for party unity if the candidate is to the right of you. Explain.
Well, that is sort of the contrary of what I said. When we are looking at these conservative districts where Republicans are consistently winning, it is the right thing to do to run more moderate Democrats. But that doesn't mean that we should settle for Democrats that aren't going to actually be fighting in the rest of our elections. Or even building off of those wins with those moderate Democrats, building off of those wins in order to create a more democratic country, create more Democratic districts that we are more likely to win. So I do think that we should be more unified. At the same time, that doesn't mean that we have to settle for candidates who aren't fighting for what we believe in. You know, they may say it, but they're not doing it.
How can we get involved with the youth to encourage them to be with you and share in your interests?
Thank you. I was hoping somebody would ask that question. The best way that you all can be more active with the youth is by, first, looking at our positions, looking at some of the things that we have, for some people like to read political theory. I'm so bad. But educating yourselves on what these more left-wing policies are that a lot of young organizers are supporting, and at the same time trying to have conversations with young people who are already politically engaged about what their views are, rather than having it be sort of adversarial, being I'm interested to hear what you have to say, let's talk about it. It may expand your mind and it may expand theirs. We're all, I believe that all of us, our political leanings and opinions are always growing and shifting and ebbing as we learn new things and new information about certain issues. So I think educating yourselves and having genuine conversations with people rather than, these guys are not going to vote for Democrats. It sort of becomes very reductive. So those conversations, and also looking out for stuff that we're doing. We're organizing a lot of events, going and joining the Las Cruces and Palestine people protesting. I think a lot of people would really appreciate to see a lot of folks from Indivisible come. And I know a lot of you already do. So thank you to those of you who do. I think that having a more diverse age of our coalition makes us more credible. Did I answer your question?
One last question, Nancy.
Thank you, Allison. I wanted to know if you could expand on how to build on those moments where it was most pragmatic to elect a moderate Democrat, but then we want to build upon that win. So I just wanted to ask you to elaborate.
Yeah, so our party has a lot of money and a lot of resources. When we win in these districts, we should be having conversations with these members saying, okay, where are the places in your district, or even their campaign staffers, usually do this a little bit better. Okay, nice. But having these conversations with these members and their campaigns, where are the more red areas of your district? And then taking some of our resources and money. We run a lot of ads. It's nothing pales in comparison to the Republicans, but we run a lot of ads. We should be running more direct attack ads to this Republican rhetoric that we're seeing in these more rural areas. And also, the simplest way to do it is to have our members in these communities listening to what people need and then actually doing it. We do a lot of listening. Politics is all about listening. Politicians do it all the time. This is a general issue with politicians. They listen, and it goes in one ear and out the other. We need our politicians to be having these conversations with their constituents, regardless of party affiliation, finding out where those constituents are at and where we can meet them in the middle. Because politics is about compromise. It's about coming together and making decisions. Okay, this person thinks this way, this person thinks this way. Where can we find a middle ground that we can both agree?
Please, if you want to ask Allison any more questions, she'll be sticking around, so definitely want to do that. Thank you very much for an excellent presentation. You see on your key dates of October 2nd and 16th, Politics and Peace of Mind. Pride Parade is coming up on the 4th, so we'll need some volunteers, so please see Alice in the back. The 9th and the 23rd, posters and postcards here at First Christian. October 11th, the movie that Teresa talked about. October 18th, No King's Day, so come on out, Albert Johnson, our usual spot. And then October 12th and 26th is our regular meetings here at First Christian. So I just wanted to cover that before I talk about Project Jupiter, and I think that comes into a very good thing that you guys have been talking about. To let you know that the steering, we're going to get to that. The steering committee met on Friday, and what we decided, and I'm bringing it up to you, it's not, set in super stone, but Indivisible, we're not going to start a little committee to oversee everything, because we have an excellent group right there who is going to be overseeing, and I'm hoping I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I figured that's what you guys are going to do. So we're going to look to our youth activists to make sure that everything with Project Jupiter, every I is dotted, T is crossed, as it goes through the regulatory process. We're looking for you guys to come to us and say, when there's a problem, let us know so that we can either write the letters, go to the protests, go to the meetings, that type of stuff. Is that okay? Okay, that's what we want to do. Because we don't want to reinvent the wheel, but we understand that there are people that are pro and con, and this is going to go through that regulatory process. And we want to make sure that we keep a hawk's eye on it because of the environmental and the other issues that are coming with it. And so we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We've got an excellent group between Empowerment Congress, you guys, Lucas has got some stuff going on, so that's where we're going to be doing it. So when things come up, you'll be hearing about it. Is that okay? Everybody all right with that? Okay, so community announcements. Alice, I know, is she around? Do you want to make your announcement? And then we'll go around the room.
Just wanted to let you just wanted to remind you that I think Pam mentioned it about the Pride on October 4th. We have people to man the table for us, that's fine. But what we're looking for is a couple of people with a little bit of muscle to help us set up before we start. We have to put the tents on the tables and all that, and then close it out at about 10 o'clock that evening. So if somebody, one or two of you could volunteer to help me with that, I'd appreciate it, and have a sign-up sheet at the front. Thank you.
Okay, who's got the microphone? All right, keep it quick. We got about 5-10 minutes. We started a few minutes later.
First, a little good news. Eric Adams is withdrawn from the New York mayoral race. I just want to affirm what Allison said. Really excellent. We need to be more in tune with what the young people are calling for, because they're the smartest kids in the room, the smartest people in the room. And I respect them. I want to work with them. I think a lot of you do too. We had our little protest, which we have every weekend on Saturday at corner of Lowman and Walnut. We had a 25% increase. We had 20 people this week. We had people in wheelchairs. We had people with other kinds of handicaps there showing their solidarity. I mean, serious medical issues, and yet they can take the time to come out. I know we're coming up on Pride Week, and we want to support that as well. But remember us on Saturday. If you have a little time to spend with us from 10 to 11:30, come and be with us. We danced, we had music, we had a great time. Everybody enjoyed it. And so put that on your calendars. It is something to do. It is fun. We have a lot of fun. Corner of Walnut and Lowman.
Excellent. Thank you.
Saturday, every Saturday.
Linda does.
Okay. Just to add to what Joanne talked about with patience. Patience Primero. The sheet that you got, the names with the asterisks by them are key players and or holdouts. So if you can only contact a few, do those guys. And we need you to be doing this today and tomorrow. And you'll notice at the top of the sheet, there are some suggestions for what to say. And then if you'd like to have heads up from Patience Primero, I'll have a sign-up sheet out at the table for you to sign up, and then they'll notify you whenever there's something important coming up, because they do have other issues coming up. This is just the current one. And then also, just for postcarding, I'm going to start a little text streaming group of postcarders to kind of let this group know when there's something especially important. Everybody, of course, is always welcome at the postcarding events, but if you want texts, then I'll have a sign-up sheet there too. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
As of September 25th, the Nobel Prize Committee in Stockholm, Sweden has put out an announcement based on Trump's presentation at the UN meeting that he is disqualified from getting
We've got a couple other announcements. John, and then Bob.
And then Phil.
Buenas tardes, everybody. I said buenos dias this morning to my neighbor. She quickly corrected me, John. All right. So good afternoon. I'm John Munoz. It's good seeing all of you all again, or some of you again. I'm running for City Council, District 6, in the Sonoma area. I appreciate the support, the encouragement. Please encourage your friends who live in the area to vote and for your contributions. Take some signs. All my campaign stuff is on my website, just offset some of the paper I'm using for yard signs and for my posters. So there's a QR code there, or you can put John Munoz, full number for Las Cruces. We are at a crossroad. We have a lot of great candidates running, and there are some opposition that are organizing and funding other candidates. We have great candidates. Becky Grunk could not be with us today. She sends her regards. She's also a city council candidate. She's in Albuquerque, but she is with you in spirit, and I wanted to mention her name. There's another candidate here that is also a strong candidate, and so let me pass the mic over. Again, John Munoz, City Council, District 6. Thank you for your time. And join us now,
Thank you, Phil. I am Bob Wofford, and if you are interested in keeping the progressive candidates who are on the school board, I have an invitation for you. If you'd like to come for a walk on the 11th of October, we're meeting at Picancho Roasters on Conway Avenue, and we're going to have not a very long marathon day of walking, but knocking on targeted doors to make sure that Pamela Court, who has an opposing candidate, and I, Bob Wofford, are elected. Patrick Nolan has the cakewalk in this election, and we all know you can. And so there are some cards in the back where you can get a QR code to get to my website. Please sign up on the volunteer page there, or just talk to me individually, or there are some others in the room who can help organize as well. How many of you are thinking about coming out on the 11th? Can I see your hands? I love it. Thank you. The door knocking is how this election is going to be won. So we'll buy you a cup of coffee and we'll send you out all charged on October the 11th. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm Michael Harris, and I'm running for City Council in District 3. That's Becky Graham's district for reference. And we're also going to be organizing some canvassing events every weekend in October. for those. So that's great, and financial contributions are always appreciated as well. We've got a lot of mailers, a lot of printing to do. So thank you to everybody in this room who's contributed so far. We're getting there, and I think we're going to have a good council. Thanks.
Any other questions, comments over here? I was going to do another pitch because I've already been up there for that very thing that Bob just talked about. Coming out on the 11th, and we can make a day of it. You can come and do this, and then come and see the film that's being shown here at the church at 2 o'clock. Any other comments? We got the gentleman here.
Hello, everybody. I just wanted to say thank you all for being so welcome to us here. It means the world. Sorry. That speech was beautiful, beautiful. I have a lot more to say, but I don't want to take up too much time. So I just want to say that I was completely politically nihilistic before these people brought me in to help with Star Project Youth. And if any of you are still not convinced that this is an extremely important thing we all need to be fighting full on, please come talk to me or any of the young people here. But I just want to get one quick fact out there that has come out since the vote that we're not aware of beforehand. One of the major companies behind this project is a company called Oracle. Now, if you know this company, Oracle, the man behind it, Larry Ellison, is a hardcore Trump supporter and one of the most loving men on the planet. He briefly took the number one spot in the US a couple of weeks ago. That's all here or there. So I just want to say, if you're still not convinced, please come talk to us on the media journey.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you all to you who participated either by bringing your posters to the event that we just ended yesterday. It turned out to be a very successful event. Numerous people that didn't even know it existed just sort of wandered into the gallery space, and it proved that they were like the shock. One woman from Austin, Texas, started crying. That was some of the effects some of the people had. So thank you very much. If you didn't pick up your posters yesterday, I did bring them today, and they're located in the chapel behind the foyer. So it's all pretty much organized, so feel free to pick those up. And thank you very much to all the volunteers. The volunteers could just stand up so that you can see that this was not just a couple of people doing it, that we had quite a good handful. If you could just stand up, Olga, please. Come on, Bill. Jerry, stand up, stand up there, and come on, who else is there? Stand up. Okay. Thank you very much. And now it's back there. Thank you so very much. Also, so don't forget the Politics Peace of Mind is going to be October 2nd. That's a Thursday, 2 to 3:30. Also, October 16th, 2 to 3:30. Politics Peace of Mind. First and third Thursdays of each month. And we'll be making posters again on October 9th and the 23rd from 2 to 7 p.m. That's the second and fourth Thursday of each month.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and we will see you